Hi there and welcome. In this video, we will learn about the CSS specificity hierarchy. So what do I mean by that? So we have learned about the element selector, something like this P. So we are selecting the paragraph. Then we have learned about the ID selector, something like this, something like I can do a paragraph, something like that. So we are selecting by the ID. And also we have seen the class selector as well. So dot paragraph. Okay, so here it is. So now you might be wondering like, hey, if I add the three different styles for the same CSS property in three different selectors, then which styles should be applied at the end? So for example, if I just have some paragraph with the ID and the class of paragraph, and we are applying different colors for that particular paragraph, then which color it should be showing? So in this video, we will have the proper answer for this question. So let's get started. So I have done something like this, and now inside of my HTML, I have just a container which has some of the styles, which is basically something like a card. Okay, and inside of that I have a h1, and then inside of that what I'll do, I'll create three paragraphs. So paragraph times 3. Okay, hit enter, and then do lorem within the first one, then do the same thing and the same thing. Okay, all right. So we have generated some of the text. Now what I will do, I will just add some ID and the classes. So for this paragraph, I'll add the ID of paragraph, just similar to the one which we have inside of our CSS. Okay, and then I will add a class of the same thing like paragraph. Okay, now we have the ID and the class of paragraph for the first element only. For the second and the third, we do not have anything. Okay, now if I go to my browser, here it is. Here is our paragraph. Okay, so there are three paragraphs. Now what I'll do, I'll just go here, and inside of that, inside of this element selector, the paragraph element selector, which is selecting all of the paragraphs, what I'll do, I'll do a color of something like, what I can do, let's say something like this one, the shaded blue. Okay, hit save and go to the browser. Now as you can see, all of the paragraphs are in that particular color, which is expected, right? And inside of the dev tools as well, as you can see, if I just select one of them, so we have the ID and we have the paragraph class as well, but there is nothing there. Okay, now here it is. So if I just remove that, so color is removed, and here it is. Okay, so this is the element selector CSS. Now if I go to here, and inside of the class, basically let's do the class first, and we will do the ID up next. So here what I can do, I can do a color of something like brown, something like that. Okay, now the question is, which color should be the first paragraph? Okay, this one. So basically this class is more specific than the general element selector. So our paragraph will be brown. Okay, so if I just go here, so now as you can see, our paragraph is now brown. So inside of the dev tools, as you can see, inside of this element selector, and it is saying like the specificity of 001, and it is saying the specificity of 010 basically. So here what you can see, the color is now dashed out for this particular element selector, but inside of the paragraph there is the color which it is using. If I just turn off that, so it will be the same blue color, like the shaded blue color which we have added. Okay, so once I just check that, so this color is now dashed out once again, so it is cancelled out. Now we have this ID as well, and the specificity is 100. That means the ID selector is more specific than the class selector, and the class selector is more specific than the normal element selector. So if I just go here once again, and if I just do something like color of blue violet, okay, and hit save, go to the browser once again, now our color is now blue violet. And here, as you can see, this paragraph is now having the dashed out color once again, and this one is having the dashed out color, but the ID selector is the one which is being applied. Now you might be thinking like, hey, how I am gonna remember that? How the CSS is deciding that? So if you just search for CSS specificity, you can go to the MDN as well, and you can just see many of the things here and there, which is good. But inside of the W3 schools, what we have a really nice thing. We have a really nice table. Here it is. So this is the specificity hierarchy, which says like the first priority will be the inline styles, which we will have a look in a moment. The second priority will be the ID selectors. Then in the third priority, we have the classes and the pseudo classes, basically this class and the hover state and so on. Then after that, we have the attributes in the priority list, which is basically this one. Like if you want to just select the element, like the input element, which is the type of text, you can do that. You can use any of the other attributes as well, so that you can select that particular element. And at the very end, we have the elements and the pseudo elements, which we saw, right? We have the element selectors, and then we have the pseudo elements like this before and the after, which we will discuss in detail in the later part. Okay, so here it is. Here is the list which we have. So now, according to this list, what we can do, if we add some sort of an like the inline style, then what will happen? The inline style will override everything. So if I just go into my code editor once again and go to here, and if I just do something like something here like style of color of red, okay, now our paragraph should be red. Okay, so if I just go here, and as you can see, our paragraph is now red. So the element style here is now populated with the color of red, and this element style, basically the inline style, is dominating everything right now. And this is one of the reasons why you do not want to use inline styles, because if you are using inline styles, then what will happen? There will be some styles here, and some of the styles can be applied through the styles.css, right? Now what will happen is that the style, like the inline style, will just dominate every other style, and then what will happen? There will be some sort of mismatch between the styles, and you might be thinking like, hey, I am changing the color of the text, like right now, right? I am changing the color of the text to blue violet or brown or to the cadet blue, but nothing is working. Why it is red? Because there might be some place inside of your HTML where you have some sort of an inline style, so we do not want to use that. Okay, so I'll just get rid of that. Okay, so this is basically the CSS specificity hierarchy. All right, also one more thing which I want to point out here is that if I add something like the font size, okay, and to something like 25 pixel, something like that. Okay, so now what will happen? What do you think? Will the font size be changed, or will that be the same? The correct answer is the font size will be changed. So this ID selector is there, but there is no font size is being set inside of this ID selector CSS, right? So that is why the font size which is coming from this class selector will be applied to the paragraph. Okay, so if I just go here, as you can see, our font size is being applied and our font is quite big now. Okay, so in that way you can have some specific like styles for some sort of a class, and then you can just change or fine tune the styles with the help of an ID selector. In that way you can have some pretty organized CSS code. All right, so this is the specificity hierarchy in CSS.